Los Angeles has over 1,000 pot clinics. But I should be clear, they used to. Then all of a sudden, President Obama got tough on medical dispensaries throughout the country. And then all of a sudden, Los Angeles decided they were going to get tough. And they said they're going to close all of the pot clinics by September 6th. Here's what happened afterwards.
The city is taking what some consider some very drastic steps. As you mentioned, the city attorney's office has put these clinics on notice that as of September 6th, they will have to close their doors or face legal action and some very stiff fines.
Today's vote drew an angry response from some medicinal marijuana advocates. The debate in council chambers heated from the beginning.
I see people out here that need medical marijuana.
What are we showing our children about marijuana? That it's okay to use it?
The city says the problem has been regulation. They've tried to regulate these clinics. The clinics have responded with lawsuits.
Well, the reality is these should be perfectly legal. We have medical marijuana that is legal in California. But last Wednesday, or this Wednesday, I should say, just a couple of days ago, Bernard Parks, with 2 minutes left at the end of a meeting, all of a sudden had this interesting request. Watch this.
This LAPD and work with the DEA at the federal government and the district attorney to create a citywide enforcement strategy dealing with medical marijuana collectives.
That's an LA council member, and if you didn't understand what he was saying, I'll translate it for you. DEA, come on down! Come to LA and help us shut down all these clinics that should be legal. Now, I remember a guy running for president who said he would not use federal resources to do this kind of thing. Well, I wonder what his name was. Well, let's try to find out.
What I'm not going to be doing is using Justice Department resources to try to circumvent state laws on this issue, simply because I want folks to be investigating violent crimes and potential terrorism. We've got a lot of things for our law enforcement officers to deal with.
We do, but apparently they're going to be busy helping LA bust legal medical marijuana instead. In fact, LA is not the only place. They've already done raids in California already, in a place called Oaksterdam in Northern California. Here was part of that raid.
You're wasting your tax dollars doing this, folks. Wake up, folks. Wake up, folks. Leave her alone.
Now, to give you a sense of how much President Obama was not telling the truth in that clip that we showed you earlier, well, he has way outshined President Bush in how many raids he's done. 170 DEA raids since 2009. In all of the 8 years of Bush, he only did 40 DEA raids, 61 federal indictments under President Obama, only 1 federal indictment under President Bush. Now, understand, these are legal in those states, but he's using federal resources to say, I don't care, I'm going to get war on drugs, I'm going to get you guys, it's illegal on the federal level. Oh, terrific. You're so tough. We really appreciate it. All right, now let me bring in an expert on this. David Borden is the founder and executive director of StopTheDrugWar.org. David, what in the world is wrong with President Obama? Why is he obsessed with this stupid war on drugs?
Well, I don't know if President Obama necessarily is obsessed with this. The decisions are being made by U.S. attorneys in the states where this is happening. There's coordination. There's definitely coordination with Washington. We don't really know to what extent the president is.
We certainly know he's not stopping it. We certainly know he's not stopping it. We know that he put Michelle Leonhardt, who's a Bush radical, as the head of the DEA. Now, if you didn't want to do a war on drugs on steroids, Michelle Leonhardt really wouldn't be the person that you'd put at the DEA, would she?
No, you're absolutely right. And something that hasn't come up a lot in the discussion is that the executive branch, under current law, actually has the authority to reschedule marijuana for medical use without Congress having to take the action. They just have to make the finding. DEA officials have, in fact, recommended that going back to the 80s. And so the president could solve this problem with the stroke of a pen, and so far he hasn't.
So If he wanted to tomorrow, he could sign something saying, hey, you know what, it's no longer class 1. In fact, Michelle Leonhard, we've shown it on the show before, she had the ridiculous congressional testimony saying, oh, marijuana, yeah, it could be just as bad as heroin or crack. It's ridiculous, right? But he could change that tomorrow, but he's choosing not to. So what's going on here? What's the real motivation? Like, we've been doing this war on drugs for a million years. It's been an absolute, utter failure. We spent $1 trillion. Why are we continuing it? What's driving people like President Obama or L.A. to keep on this stupid war on drugs?
Well, I suspect the president has people around him who, he talks to many people, but I'm sure DOJ officials are not so keen on taking marijuana out of the equation. What would you spend all the drug war budget on? If you've spent your life fighting the war on drugs, you don't want to believe that it was all a bad idea or that a big part of it was a bad idea. So I'm sure all those things are going on.
All right, well, but sad day for them because it was a bad idea and they did waste their lives. All right, David Borden, thank you for fighting a good fight. We appreciate you joining us today on the Young Turks.
Thank you.
All right, now when we come back.